Hey everyone, Pepper here with another video in my beginner's guide series, how to use the replay review system. Replays are an amazing tool for improvement. I use them all the time, checking my games to figure out where I could do things better, or often how I could play a matchup differently. And I think at the same time, people often don't know how to use the replay reviewer. I think you hear people all the time say, well, check your replays. So often when I'm coaching somebody and I have them review their replay to me, they don't really know what they're looking for. And so I wanted to create this video to show what I look for in a replay and how I think you can use your own replays to better your game, because it is a very key part of making you a better player. As always, please like and subscribe. It is huge for a channel my size. If you're interested in coaching, my rates are right there on the screen. You can check the box below the video for more information. First, let's talk about how your in-game actions really affect your gameplay. The most important thing you can do to help make your replays more usable is make concrete decisions. The idea behind this is that if you are just kind of playing off vibes, there's really nothing to look at. There's no decision you made. There's no point where you can go and say, okay, this is the thing I did, so what was the response to that? A lot of the replays and checking replays is a consequence and reaction to that. So I've made a choice. What's the consequence? What's the opponent's reaction? Things like that. If you're not making concrete decisions, you don't really have anything to work off of. So for example, if you are doing a feudal pressure opening, but the opponent opens fast castle, so you see that they've put a tower on the goal, they have 4 or 5 villas on goal, they're going fast castle. So when you're looking at replay, you can ask yourself, how did you adjust? Did you add an earlier barracks to get the engineering? Did you change your resource splits? What's your comp? Things like that. So you want to make sure you're looking at your opponent made a decision. What decisions did you make from that scouting? And then allows you to judge what you could have done better. There's plenty of games where I'm facing it's a fast castle and I realize, man, I should have made spears because the opponent was going to open knights when they hit castle. If I had done that, that would have gone a lot better for me. Or I could have got out siege engineering real faster and had a ram going as they're hitting castle. That would have gone way better for me. As always, scouting is vital. So often games come down to when I'm working with somebody and coaching them, I'll just say, hey, you didn't know they were doing this thing. If you were scouting it and you saw it, you would have easily countered it. You would have been fine. So you don't want scouting to be the reason you lost the game. Now, there's always more things than just scouting, but scouting is often one of the most important things you can do. And if you're scouting well, it allows you to then go, well, I saw this thing and I did this in response. What should I try next time? So in the picture, you can see I made a decision to drop at barracks because I saw Roost pro scouting. That is a choice. I could have tried fast castle. I could have 2T-C'd. I could have opened a different production building. And those are things I can try. And in a future game, I can say, well, I'm going to try opening horsemen. I'm going to try fast castling, things like that. But in this game, I decided to make a barracks and pressure spears first. So then I can then see how that choice responds. Did I send my spear to the right place? Did I actually stop anything? Did it have any effect? So, and then what could I have done to follow up on that? Stuff like that. So you want to notice where you made decisions and decide, is that decision I liked? Could I have done it better? Or what were some other decisions I could have made? Next, we'll talk about what to look for. There's a lot of things to look for when you look at your replay. And so let's break down the 3 things I like to focus on. Number 1, the always actions. So you're checking to see, were you always making vills? Were you always making units? Did you spend your resources and adjust depending on the resources you needed? So basically, are we following that macro cycle? If you look at the image here, I was floating a lot of resources. I did not have units in queue. I did have villagers though, but that means that I'm not doing my always actions. Of course, there's going to be moments in the game where you're going to mix those things up, but the consistency very much matters. And so we want to check, were we more consistent than not in doing our always actions? Making villas, making units, spending our resources, unless we're saving for something specific. This also leads me to the value of hotkeys. So often when I'm coaching people, you can see in the replays how much not having hotkeys slows them down. They have to click on a production building to make units. They have to click on their TC and then click on the villagers. They have to click on so much. The more clicking you have to do, the more that's holding you back. So I want to emphasize right here, and I'm sure at some point I'll just do a video on them, but the value of hotkeys. Learning and using them. Often how I made myself use hotkeys is that I played 4 games against the AI. I was only allowed to use hotkeys, so I kind of forced my body to adjust to it. If I had to say the hotkeys that are most important to use, I would say it's TC hotkey, your unit production hotkey, your unit groupings. So I like to do 1 through 3. I have 3 different unit groups. Select all idle vills and select idle military. I think if you at least do those, that's a large portion of your actions and really important to do. Of course, if you can then add in making buildings with hotkeys, that's super helpful. Even if you just make your most common buildings, like you have house, farms, your basic production under memorized hotkey, that'll go a very long way for you. Next, we want to talk about our decision breakdown. That's, as we were kind of going to earlier, noticing when you make a decision identify what are the things that went well or didn't go well. So here's a list of things you can choose to focus on. First, execution. By that, did you actually execute your plan? Did you make the units you wanted to make? Did you consistently follow up? Were you aggressive? Things like that. Second, information. Were you scouting? Did you know what the opponent was doing? Did you know what they were trying to do? At any point in time, if you asked, did I know what they were doing? Did you know? Next, economy. Did you constantly adjust based on the resources you need? Did you spend your stuff? Did you actually get the resources you need to make the things you wanted to be? Next, were you aggressive? So often when I'm watching people's replays, they have units and they don't use them. So when you're watching the replay and you're making units, is there something you can do with them? Can you be raiding with your cav? Can you send a couple units to just patrol near a resource to block it? Which patrols that D key. It helps that if you know there's a resource you can go to later, put units on patrol near it. To make sure they can't get that resource for free. And then lastly, did you take any bad fights? So like when taking a fight is a decision. So how you can learn if a fight is good or bad or not is just check how a fight went when you took it. Did you see what units they have? How many units did you have? Did you have a lot of the right counter unit? Did you micro in that fight? Things like that. So also check your fights and keep a mental note. If that fight didn't go well, I know in the future, if I want to take a fight like that, I need more of this unit, or I need to micro this part of my mass better. And then, of course, you can always ask yourself, have I made different decisions? So I think an important thing to do, especially an important part of learning, is trying different things. If you enter a similar situation, such as you're facing a Sith that wants to pro scout, and you try something one time, it's okay to try something another time. It might not work, you might lose, it might feel worse, but at least you tried it, so you know. Trying things is vital. And I think a really good example of this is in a coaching session I did recently. I was coaching an HRE player. He was about gold level, if I remember correctly. And he's been doing HRE all in. So it was HRE versus HRE on Light Horizon. His opponent, HRE player, fast castled. He just made units and attacked. And the decision he made that was wrong was that he denied his first gold, sent units around to the guy's second gold, and then left that gold. And the different decision should have been, man, he really needs gold. I should just camp the second gold and scout the farther away one. Because if he just camped that gold, he would have denied the villagers. The guy has no gold, he can't make units. Game over. And so when watching the replay, he noticed he didn't deny the gold. And that should have been a very direct decision he made. And he knows in the future, once someone goes fast castle, denied the first gold, deny all the other ones and stay there. Don't walk away from them. Small thing, but now he knows that. And from that replay, he's very clear on, I would have won that game if I had just done that one step. Keep in mind, I put this whole statement here because I think it's very, very important. You will most likely struggle to identify the things you can do better. Outside of getting a better player to look at the replay and explain things for you, this is heavily a trial and error way of learning, which is really how learning is. Trying something doesn't work. Could it have worked if I'd done it differently? What else should I try? This will help you learn something, but boy, it can be grueling. We want to win now. We don't like losing, but losing is a vital part of the learning process. This is learning at its grittiest, and you need to have the mindset that each game is a chance to try something and learn from it. You're not a pro who needs to maintain a high win rate for their job or their streaming career or something. You're someone who is just learning the game. If you value that, you'll soon see the wins happen more and more as you will understand the game at a much better level. Keep that in mind. Next, I'm really big about watching your opponent's perspective. I love doing this when I am checking a replay. Even if that means like I've watched through my perspective, I'll quickly redo the replay and then watch my opponents like on fast speed. I like because I want to see what they could see. I want to see what they saw and what decisions they made based on those. But most importantly, I want to see, did I guess the strategy they're running correctly? Like, was that actually it from the jump, or did they do something where I saw the strategy and then they adjusted and I missed the adjustment? Things like that. So what were they doing? How could I see that in the future or judge it better in the future? How much did my pressure affect them? So a big thing, especially if you're playing an aggressive play style, did you have them on the ropes? Like, there's so many times you're like, man, I thought I was about to beat them, but I lost. You did. You were beating them, but then they got villagers out to a side resource you missed, or they made an adjustment you didn't see. So you can see how much was your pressure actually affecting somebody, which is really big to seeing how you could do that strategy better next time. And lastly, a big thing is finding moments of weakness. There's so many times that I've lost games when I had a moment where I had just attacked, or I had pressure, or I raided, or I just kept following up, I would have won. But instead, I missed those moments of weakness. Those moments of weakness could be when you have a lot of units and your opponent has none. It could be when your opponent's resources are very low and you have a lot, but you didn't spend them. So finding moments where if you had just been aggressive, oftentimes it's like with 4 units early in the game. You make a few horsemen, they have nothing. If you just raided their gold, that slows them down a lot. So finding those moments of weaknesses and keeping tabs on those, so you know in the future, if I'm making units and they're doing this, I should try to pressure them and see what I can get. Now, a lot of times I have people ask me, why do I watch replays from the personal view and not the caster view? I like personal view better because I really want to see what the person is seeing. And specifically, if I'm watching my perspective, I want to see what I could see. Oftentimes, I would trigger between full map view and singular map view, and like hidden map view, because I do want to see what I could have saw if I had scouted better. But I like to see what I was seeing in the moment and see if how I could make different adjustments with the same information. Also, see if I had scouted better, how that information would help me. Caster mode, I like to use only if I'm trying to compare incomes as well as villagers used to get those incomes, so I can see how the economies could have been better. Lastly, the post-game stats can be extremely helpful to you, just getting signposts of that game. So at the end of the game, if you're like, how did I lose this? Check, there's some key things in the post-game stats you can use. First, on the timeline, the things I like to first look at is total unit count. Total unit count allows you to see just when did the unit production split, which is a good place to then go in the replay and see what was happening. Did they drop a second TC a while ago and now it's paying off? Did you take a really bad fight and then you were rated off resource? Like, what happened that caused that unit count to split so heavily? And that's all the units in the game. So that's villagers and military. Villager count, of course, is important. Maybe you missed some drop a second TC. Maybe you didn't realize you lost so many vills in a raid, things like that. So seeing the villager count is often very connected to the economies at the end of the game. Resources gathered is another huge thing that tells you when did the game start getting out of hand, because if they're gathering way more resources, they can afford a lot more things, thus meaning that you probably lost because of that. So when did that go bad? Did you identify it? How could you see it in the future? On the statistics tab, the military is just good to see your kill death ratio. If you have a lot of deaths but very few kills, that means you're taking really bad fights. So I think the biggest thing for that is just seeing how good of fights are you taking, because you should be losing less units than you are killing. Unless, of course, the opponent is making like a unless the opponent's economy is way better than yours and they just throw units away, and their way of winning is by out-ecoing you. Lastly, economy. It's just good to see what they were winning on and what you didn't get enough of, and seeing how that happens. So, like, there's an example of a game I played recently where I was playing Biz and my opponent was playing English, and I thought our ecos were matched. We had very similar vill counts, but my food was way off. And then I realized he went on deer very heavily. He went on deer, he went on boar. I didn't take the boar, I didn't take the deer. And that's why my food eco is way behind. That's why they can make more units. So just those things help you to figure out what to look for. Why did they get so much food? Why is their military so much better? Why are they taking better fights? Things you can look for and learn from. So overall, your goals from this lesson should be as follows. 1, I would say don't replay every loss. That can get tiring. Try to do like replays over 1 out of every 3 losses. Or there's an especially frustrating loss where you're like, I don't really know why I lost this game. So you want to look for where your plan went wrong based on the following. How well did you maintain the macro cycle fundamentals? How well did you maintain scouting? Did you know what your opponent was doing at the start of feudal? Especially, it's most important. What were they doing at the start of feudal? Did the decisions you make work? Why or why not? And what will you try next time in a similar situation? I hope you found this video really helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Check me out on Twitch. Check out my coaching Discord. And thank you so much. And good luck on your games.